I call to order this regular meeting of the Board of Public Works this Tuesday, September 10th of 2024. First up, we have messages from board members. Do we have any messages from the board?
I'll just echo the welcome to Miranda and thank you again to April for everything you've done to keep us on track. Much appreciated.
Next up, we have petitions and remonstrances. If we have anyone who would like to make a public comment about something that is not on the agenda this evening, now is the opportunity to do so. If you are on Zoom, you can use the raised hand function or the chat function to let us know you're interested in making a comment.
There's nothing on Zoom.
All right, seeing none. Next, we have the consent agenda. Under the consent agenda, we have Resolution 2024-061, Renew Mobile Vendor Kona Ice Truck Number 1. Resolution 2024-062, Renew Mobile Vendor Kona Ice Truck Number 2. Resolution 2024-063, Renew Mobile Vendor Kona Ice Truck Number 3, and approval of payroll. Do we have any items that need to be removed from the consent agenda this evening? Do we have any public comments on anything within the consent agenda? All right, seeing none. Do we have a motion on the consent agenda?
I move that we approve the consent agenda for tonight's meeting of September 10th, 2024.
Second.
All right, I will call the roll. Carone?
Aye.
Roach?
Aye.
Cox-Deckard, aye. Motion passes. Next, we have new business. First under new business is addendum number 4 to preliminary engineering contract with WSP USA for neighborhood greenway projects.
Good evening, Neil Copper with the engineering department. This is an existing contract with WSP USA to perform preliminary engineering tasks for multiple different neighborhood greenway projects. The existing contract has an overall not to exceed amount of $400,000 with individual tasks approved by task orders. So this addendum 4 contains task order number 3, which includes the final design for the Thornton Arden neighborhood greenway. The not to exceed amount for this task is $44,975. Staff has reviewed and supports the amendment, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions on this item?
Neil, question about the project, not specifically about the contract, but I'm curious about Olive Street. I know this contract is to do the engineering work, so it hasn't been designed, but are there initial thoughts on how Olive might be designed? That street is very, very narrow.
Yeah, there's been some discussion on that. So the concept for the neighborhood greenway has now been approved by the Bicycle and Pedestrian Safety Commission. With the previous phase, including the Hawthorne and Weatherstone project, we did update the southern edge of the intersection at Olive and Hillside and widened the approach just right at the intersection so that two vehicles going in opposite directions can actually pass, because Olive is very narrow in that block, as I think you're alluding to. The block from there to the south that's very narrow, the current approach is just make sure people are going slowly, make sure people are aware that there are people going in both directions. We are working with Public Works to see if we can resurface, because the pavement condition is pretty poor in that block as well. At this time, there are no large plans for, widening or reducing the crest of the hill or anything on that order.
It's more like a shared space.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions on this item? Any public comments on this item?
Nothing on Zoom.
All right, seeing none, is there a motion?
I move that we approve the addendum 4 to preliminary engineering contract with WSP USA for the neighborhood greenway projects.
Second.
All right, I will call the roll. Carone?
Aye.
Roach?
Aye.
Cox-Deckard, aye. Motion passes. Thanks. Next, we have road and sidewalk closure request from Strausser Construction, Inc. on North Grant Street.
Dashiell Sherman Pavaliers with the engineering department. Strausser Construction is requesting a road closure on North Grant Street between East 9th and East 10th Street, in addition to the closure of the western sidewalk. The closure is requested to begin late September and finish late October. and it is to accommodate utility extension for a new building project at 527 North Grant Street, and Strasser Construction has supplied maintenance of traffic plans for the closure.
The board on this item. Any public comments on this item? Okay. Seeing none, is there a motion?
I move that we approve the road and sidewalk closure request from Strasser Construction, Inc. on North Grant Street.
Second.
All right, I will call the roll. Corone?
Aye.
Roach?
Aye.
Cox-Deckard, aye. Motion passes. Next, we have road closures request from Economic and Sustainable Development in Near West Side neighborhood.
Hi again. City of Bloomington Department of Economic and Sustainable Development is requesting 5 road closures at traffic calming circles located in the Near West Side neighborhood. The closures include the intersections of West 6th Street and North Waldron, West 6th Street and North Oak Street, West 7th Street and North Oak Street, West 7th Street and North Waldron Street, and West 7th Street and North Pine Street. Each closure is expected to last from 3 to 5 days for a total duration of 5 weeks, and it's scheduled to begin on the 16th of September and end the 28th of October. The request is to accommodate the painting of mural designs on the 5 traffic calming circles by artist Aaron Toby, and maintenance of traffic plans have been supplied.
Questions on this item? I'll just mention what we had talked about yesterday in the work session, that this is a contract, it appears, between the city of Bloomington and the muralist. So this is considered public art in the right-of-way as opposed to private art in the right-of-way, which would follow a different procedure. Any public comments on this?
There's nothing on Zoom.
Seeing none, is there a motion?
I move that we approve the road closure request from Economic and Sustainable Development in the Near West Side neighborhood.
Second.
All right, I will call the roll. Corone?
Aye.
Roach?
Aye.
Cox-Deckard, aye. Motion passes. Thanks. Next, we have lane and sidewalk closure requests from AEG.
Kyle Ball, City Engineering. AEG is requesting extensions for 8 of their permit areas that include sidewalk and lane closures. These are areas that were previously permitted until August 16th of this year. Shortly before the expiration, the engineering team gave AEG several requirements before recommending approval of these current extensions that are on the agenda tonight. Those conditions were a detailed 2-week schedule citing the daily work locations and the type of closures that would be there to be presented at least every week. The other one was a focus on all the high priority restoration work that we had noted in a shared file. The third was a closeout of the restoration work for the areas that AEG had requested closeouts in. These conditions at this time have been met or have a planned path forward, and coordination efforts have increased with the AEG team with improved touch points on a daily basis, and we're creating some new workflows to improve that communication line. Of these 8 permit areas, there's some special interest in getting the downtown corridor completed ahead of the downtown repaving project that's currently in progress. I'm sure most have seen at this point. Additionally, the Crestmont community, which is a priority for both Hoosier Fiber Network and the city. Just as a high-level note, we have 13 permits that are currently active. These are short-term duration that 6 of them would be ending by the end of September, and then the other 2 would be ending in the end of October of this year. Any questions that I might answer for the board? I also know that AEG representatives are here if there are any questions for them.
Questions from the board?
I was just thinking about, you were talking about the downtown area. Obviously, there are a lot of festivals and things going on with Pride and Hoosiers Outrun Cancer and things in the community. I assume that's part of the coordination to make sure that AEG's progress isn't impeding some of these other things that we have on the calendar?
Correct, that's the intent of the daily meeting. So we're reviewing street by street where they're at a given day. Still a work in progress, but we're improving in all those regards, so.
Thank you.
And just following up on our work session yesterday, so the city and AEG have a shared understanding about the priority of the permits. You said that there were 13 permits currently open. I'm assuming that's in addition to this request for the extensions.
Correct.
So could you just describe in a little bit more detail the priority between these extension requests and the existing open permits?
Yeah, absolutely. So these current requests have a very short duration left for completion of those areas, so they can start on that full repair and close out those permit areas, whereas the other ones are in earlier phases, to my understanding, of the construction process. So with the six that are going to be finishing up the end of September here, my understanding is that there's a week or two worth of work left. So ideally, we're finishing those up before we even reach that date of the 30th or 31st. And same goes with the October dates as well.
Other questions from the board? Any public comments on this item?
I have nothing on Zoom.
Seeing none, is there a motion?
I move that we approve the lane and sidewalk closure request from AEG.
Second?
All right, I will call the roll. Corone?
Aye.
Roach? Aye. Cox Deckard, aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thanks. Next, we have contract with Multicraft for fire lanes replacement at Walnut Street Garage.
Hi, Jess Goodman, Parking Garage Manager. Applied Engineering did an assessment this year of the fire line sprinkler system at the Walnut Street Garage, and they are at the end of their life. Those were made out of black steel, having all of the pipes replaced with galvanized throughout the whole entire garage except for the back stairwell. Multicraft came in with a bid at $14,500.
Questions on this item? Any public comments on this item?
Nothing on Zoom.
Seeing none, is there a motion?
I move that we approve the contract with Multicraft for fire lines replacement at Walnut Street Garage.
Second?
All right, I will call the roll. Corone? Aye. Roach? Aye. Cox Deckard, aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thanks. Next is staff reports and other business.
My standard, I don't have a staff report. I will remind everybody that Pride Fest is going on this weekend, but engineering does have a staff report they'd like to present.
Dash Sherman Pavliers with engineering. I have a staff report for the downtown street maintenance project. This is in addition to a previous existing staff report, but I'm going to go ahead and read the entire thing. So this project will resurface portions of downtown streets, including College Avenue, Walnut Street, 4th Street, and 6th Street. While primarily focused on asphalt resurfacing, the project will include pedestrian safety and accessibility improvements, such as new curb ramps, intersection bump outs, and accessible parking spaces. And then the addition is that we will be closing the east side 2 lanes in front of the Justice Building on College, so Milestone can dig out the necessary area for the full depth pavement replacement. This is needed because the trees in the area are not allowing the equipment to swing around. And the middle lane will be closed until Friday evening, and maybe again the first of the next week, depending on the weather. Questions?
Any questions from the board? All right. Thank you. All right, next up, we have approval of claims. Are there any questions on the claims? None. Okay. Any public comments on claims? All right, seeing none, is there a motion on the claims?
Move that we approve claims tonight in the amount of $2,073,956.94.
Second?
All right, I will call the roll. Corone?
Aye.
Roach?
Aye.
Cox Steckard, aye. Motion passes. And if there is nothing else, I will call for adjournment.